Imagine millions of Americans flooding the streets this Saturday, united in a powerful stand against what they see as presidential overreach. Could this be the defining moment of resistance in our time? That's the electrifying promise of the No Kings protests sweeping the nation. And if you're wondering what to anticipate, buckle up because this movement is gaining unstoppable momentum. Picture this. On June 14th, in the heart of downtown Los Angeles, demonstrators hoisted a massive banner emblazoned with the U.S. Constitution's preamble, a vivid symbol of their fight during the inaugural No Kings Day rally against former President Trump's actions. Credit Mario Tama, Getty Images. Organizers from the No Kings Coalition, a dynamic alliance of progressive groups dedicated to countering Trump's policies, predict that Saturday's demonstrations could draw even larger crowds than before, potentially reaching into the millions nationwide. This grassroots effort portrays the former president not as a democratically chosen leader, but as someone acting with the unchecked authority of a king, which fundamentally clashes with America's founding principles of checks and balances. These upcoming marches mark the second major surge in this wave of activism. Back in June, No Kings pulled off what skeptics deemed unfeasible. They rallied millions across the country in peaceful gatherings, sending a resounding message that in the United States, no one rules like a monarch. As their website proudly declares, it was a unified cry echoing from coast to coast, "America has no kings." For those new to activism, think of this as everyday citizens coming together, much like historical movements, such as the civil rights marches of the 1960s, to peacefully voice concerns about leadership and democracy. What sparked that initial outpouring? It was a direct response to a lavish military parade celebrating the U.S. Army's 250th anniversary, an event that just happened to fall on Trump's 79th birthday. While supporters hailed it as a patriotic tribute to the troops, detractors argued it was little more than a self-aggrandizing spectacle, turning a national milestone into a personal ego boost. And this is the part most people miss. Such events can blur the lines between honoring service members and promoting individual power, raising questions about the true intent behind government spectacles. Fast forward to now, and No Kings is calling out what they view as an escalation. On their site, they point to a series of aggressive moves by the administration, including the use of masked agents from Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, in heightened detention operations, tactics that have drawn widespread criticism for their intensity and lack of transparency. They've also spotlighted deep cuts to federal funding for education, which could severely impact programs like special education for children with disabilities, leaving schools scrambling for resources. Add to that rollbacks on environmental safeguards potentially endangering clean air and water efforts that took decades to build, and controversial gerrymandering practices, where electoral district boundaries are redrawn to favor one political party, often undermining fair representation and voter rights, as seen in recent Supreme Court cases involving states like Louisiana. But here's where it gets controversial. No Kings estimates that over 5 million participants showed up in June alone, a staggering figure that underscores the depth of public discontent. They're betting Saturday's turnout will surpass that, fueled by these mounting grievances, yet not everyone sees it the same way. House Speaker Mike Johnson has branded the protests a Hate America rally, while fellow Republicans dismiss them outright as unpatriotic displays that undermine national unity. Is this fair criticism, or does it stifle legitimate dissent? It's a divide that's sure to ignite heated debates. The White House hasn't been silent either. When NPR inquired about the planned marches, spokeswoman Abigail Jackson shrugged it off with a curt, "Who cares?" a response that some interpret as dismissive arrogance, while others might see it as a refusal to dignify what they view as partisan noise. In anticipation of potential unrest, Republican governors are taking proactive steps. Virginia's Glenn Youngkin has activated the state's National Guard for training exercises, emphasizing readiness to maintain public safety. As his spokesman Peter Finocchio explained to VPM, The governor has authorized state active duty for training to help ensure the Guard will be ready to respond if needed, to help keep people safe. Over in Texas, Governor Greg Abbott echoed similar sentiments, vowing zero tolerance for chaos. In a statement covered by the Texas Newsroom, he declared, "Violence and destruction will never be tolerated in Texas. Texas will deter criminal mischief and work with local law enforcement to arrest anyone engaging in acts of violence or damaging property." These preparations highlight a broader tension. While organizers stress peace, authorities are bracing for the worst, which could either de-escalate or heighten anxieties on the ground. Amid the political back and forth, No Kings leaders remain steadfast in their message of nonviolence and civic engagement. Jim Chapdelaine, the top organizer in Connecticut, shared his thoughts with Connecticut Public during a recent interview. He emphasized the vital role of showing up for your convictions, saying, "There are powers that be that would prefer we all just stay at our houses and, take up crochet." Instead, he urged building community bonds, solidarity, and unity, especially through peaceful means. For beginners dipping their toes into protest culture, this is a reminder that true change often starts with safe, collective action that amplifies voices without harm. As Saturday approaches, one can't help but ponder, in a democracy, where do we draw the line between protest and provocation? Do these No Kings marches represent a healthy exercise of free speech, or do they risk deepening national divides? And what about the counterpoint, that such large-scale events, even if peaceful, might inadvertently play into narratives of instability? I'd love to hear your take. Do you support the protesters' cause, or do you side with the critics? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and let's spark a thoughtful conversation.